Hello, Orville Nation. Welcome, everybody, and we're back. I can't believe it. I feel like I feel like a newbie. Hello, Adega. Hello, Rapunzel. Hello, Gap Stargate. Good to see all of you guys. Hello, Alien. Nanu. Hello, Tracy. Hysteria. Hello, Tracy. Hello, Louise Sparrow. Welcome, everybody. Guys, there's a couple people lurking here before. I don't see them now. Hello, Maria Piantelli. Maria might be dropping in later. And welcome, everybody. And let's see. I feel like I'm probably doing something wrong. So let's get rid of this music. Hello, everybody. It's good to see all you guys. Hello, Martha Dre. Woohoo! Yeah, we're back. It's been a while since we finished. It's been almost a year since we finished our review of Dark Matter with Joe. Excuse me. And I've been watching some of these, especially season 1. And it's definitely time to revisit. I've had, as some of you guys know, I had to take a break from personal reasons from streaming, but I think we're ready to go. And we might have a few hiccups like we did last night, and like we almost had today. But I think we'll be back. I think we'll be back to regular streaming, God willing. So it's good to see all of you, my friends, all of you guys in the chat. And I see there Adega Outlaw, who is one of our co-hosts and just a great friend. And I also see there Gap Stargate, who was doing the what is it called? The promos for Dark Matter Monday. He was helping us, so that was great to have him. Hello, Berta Prey Kapla. And I'm sure Tom, the other person who helped us toward the end of the promos, he will be dropping in. He'll probably see this later too. So hello to Tom, and hello Pranakasha Productions. Hola, hello amigo. How are you? So guys, we're it's the right time to go back and watch this. I gotta say, I was watching a couple of these. I was watching, for example, today's what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back and revisit episode 1 of together. We're gonna revisit episode 1 of our review with Joe, and it was such an honor and such a pleasure to have Joe. I still can't believe he did the whole series with us. I mean, it was amazing. I think that the value. So I've been watching these, and I think that the value of this content is amazing. I think that I was watching it, and I was there. I was hosting it, but now I go back and watch it, and there's all these things you either don't remember, or maybe little things you missed. And I just thought it would be fantastic to go back and review it. And the other thing we're going to be doing, and because we had a little hiccup yesterday, I'm not ready to launch tonight, but we're going to launch this week. We're going to do a special tutorial video for, get this, I'm finally doing the Dark Matter Raffle. Yes, from Melissa O'Neill's donations for Rambling. This is, of course, for our friend Rambling Canuck, who is he's getting his medical treatment for his kidney condition, and so we're going to go ahead and have that, and I'm going to do a video specifically on that, and we're going to have a tutorial on how you participate in the raffle, and it's going to be by donating to the new Rambling Canuck GoFundMe. you will be entered in the Orville Nation raffle. And there will be 2 levels of participation. So there will be a more top tier level, and there will be a second tier level. But let me say the second tier level is nothing to, is pretty cool. It's really cool too. And there is some stuff that nobody has seen. No one has seen on the second tier level. So I'm just going to throw that out there right now. And let me also say, it is not technically a dark matter raffle anymore. And because Thursday, this was the week that we Orville fans were going to be celebrating the beginning of season 3. And unfortunately, it had to be pushed back for whatever reasons, for production and for Hulu reasons and whatever. So it's obviously Seth is going to be premiering it in June, but I figured that that there was a piece of screen-worthy Orville prop stuff, I guess you could call it, that I'm going to add to the raffle. So it's going to be a Dark Matter Orville raffle. And we're going to have several days. We're going to have somewhere. I'm going to put it out tomorrow. We're going to have it between 10 and 15 days to 10 and 14 days to enter the raffle. And it's most likely going to be on the Dark Matter Monday within 2 weeks. We will probably announce the winner then. And we want to raise as much money as we can for Rambling. And we also want to raise as much money as we can, to honor, Melissa's donation. Of course, you guys will remember, and that I'm going to be putting out a video on this. You guys, of course, will remember the jumpsuit. And let me put a picture of that up. The jumpsuit for Melissa from Dark Matter. That is one of the 2 top tier. Let's see if I got it here. That is one of the 2 top tier raffle items. And let's see. Where is it? All right. While I look for it, and Melissa was very, very, very generous. And let me just, you guys kind of know about this, most of you, but I was reluctant at the beginning to take on this obligation. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Tracy. And I was reluctant to take on this obligation because I move around so much. And several things happened where I was not going to be able to fulfill. I was not going to be able to fulfill the raffle, getting the stuff to whoever won the raffle. So it had to be postponed. COVID played a huge part in all this. But things are better now. We're ready to go. It's the right time. It's also a good time for Rambling. We need to raise as much money as we can for him. He is a respected friend and colleague in the community. He obviously has his own channel. He does R&R history with Jeff Franklin and Professor Brainy Specs, and of course Admiral Doom, who passed away. So that raffle is going to be amazing. And Adega, I see you're there lurking. And Adega was going to join me, but he'll join me another day. But Adega, I got you anyway. So, because you're on this rerun, let's call it. Again, I want to welcome everybody: Louise, Tracy, Gap, Luke. Hello, Luke. Bird O Prey 5. Hello, Bird O Prey. Pranakasha Productions. Great stuff from Pranakasha Productions, guys. I want to remind everyone. that we grow together, guys. We grow together. So put in your links to your channels. I don't care. Do it as much as you want. The more I do this, the less I care. Put in any link you want, and all the time, as much as you want. I don't care, as long as it doesn't look like spam. Like continues, like all the time. So please, guys, we work together. We grow together. Hello again, Martha Day, Berta Prey, Maria Tiantelli. Maria probably jump in later. Rapunzel. Everybody, welcome. Alien, welcome everybody. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start this episode 1 review, and I'm going to comment on it, and I'm going to play it. I'm playing it. I have to play it through the speakers. So hello, Jeffrey. So just a reminder to everybody who's dropping in. Thank you, Louise. Thank you. This is Rambling's channel. Yeah. Thank you, Louise. Rambling Canucks channel. And of course, the Orville Nation. I'm sorry, the Dark Matter Orville Raffle, because we're going to have, we have screen. That's, by the way, the top tier, excuse me. The top tier items are going to be screen used items. And that's going to be the Melissa O'Neill jumpsuit from Dark Matter, and the other item from the Orville that was used on screen. So those will be the top tier items. And I will be making a tutorial video for the raffle, and we will kick that off as soon as the tutorial video goes live someday this week on the channel. And again, we will probably do the final the actual drawing on our Dark Matter Monday show on the 21st, most likely, of March. And I will make we'll make the iron out the file. We're going to iron out the final details, and we will put that all in the tutorial video for the raffle. Again, the raffle works by hello, Nate. How you doing? Yeah, star hashtag Dark Matter season 4. Again, the raffle will be working by making a donation to the new Rambling GoFundMe. Okay. Hello, Troy. Can't stay. Thank you, Troy, for jumping in here. Say hello, guys. Everybody put in your channels, guys. Right off the bat, I see Troy. I see Gap. I see who else? Who else do I see with a channel? Dega, Bird of Prey. Everybody just put in your channels, guys. We grow together. Make sure Moira. I see Moira. Put in your channel, Moira. If you guys are not subbed to any of our colleagues in the chat, please do so. Put in your channels, guys. All right. And if somebody doesn't have, if somebody here doesn't have a wrench of our, I think Moira. Yeah, Moira does. Yeah. If anybody doesn't have a wrench, Tracy, you don't have a wrench. Well, you don't have a channel, but I got to go ahead and give you a wrench. There you go, Tracy. Okay. So if anybody is a content creator who wants to, who needs a wrench, let me know. All right, guys. We are ready to go. I want to remind everybody that what we had here was the beginning. What we have here is the beginning of our review with Joseph Malazzi, executive producer, co-creator, and the creator of Dark Matter. Let me make sure. Okay. We have here co-hosting with me. We have Katie, Weather Katie, and of course, science fiction author Adega Outlaw, who's in the chat. So I think we're just going to start, and I'm just going to start here at the 3-minute mark. And this is again our, just to remind you guys, we had Joe Malazzi, we had Joseph on in our as a guest, And this is not the first time we've had Joe on. And this is then the jumping into our review of Dark Matter with Joe. And we're asking him some very basic questions at the beginning here of the very basic questions of the series. So here we go, and let's just kick things off. And I'm going to be commenting and stuff. So,
without spoilers, yeah, we will try to do it. Great troll, yeah, you too. Thanks for pointing that out. Great troll, and live with the Love Shack. We're going to try to do it without spoilers. If we let little things, if little things slip out, bear with us. Just ignore it. All right. I want to introduce our friend Katie, the meteorologist, the Starfleet meteorologist, of course. Katie, welcome. How are you, my friend? Good to see you.
Hey, oh, I'm so great. I'm so excited for this.
And where are you today? Are you in your office?
I am. I'm in my new weather office. I moved apartments, so it's a whole new weather wall. It's the same as the old one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just going to say, it doesn't look that different.
There's nothing different. I got a new weather globe, but that's it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The exciting things.
As you guys all know, some of you may not know, Katie is a real life meteorologist and a storm chaser. And she's one of those crazy people who goes around with a camera and with her weather instruments in a car chasing tornadoes.
And I wouldn't want to do anything else.
So, wow. So you guys will, and Katie has a channel. It's called So Many Fandoms. And we will be posting links to that.
And let me just say a special, I'm going to put in Katie's channel, a special thanks to Katie and Adega, and of course later on Nina and some of the people who joined us intermittently. Katie has been joining us from the beginning, as well as Adega. You guys are very special to me. So thank you, Katie and Adega.
And let me introduce our other co-host on the panel. You guys all know this gentleman as the science fiction author, Dr. Adega Outlaw. Welcome, Adega.
Hello, everybody.
Good to see you, my friend. And I want to remind everybody that Adega has, recently announced that he is going to be publishing his next 7 books.
Well, I hope so. We'll see how it goes. But it looks like I'm contracted for the whole thing. But it all depends if they're good or not.
Well, I know they're good. So if one company doesn't do it, another one will. So, and I just want to remind everybody again who's coming in, we're going to try to do this without spoilers. So we're going to ask too that we're going to try to do it without spoilers, and if the chat, can you guys kind of just refrain from giving anything that might be related to down the road. And so we're going to
let me just say, Adega, it was unavoidable that you were joining me today, as you can see.
We're going to try to talk about episode 1, season 1 of Dark Matter, and we're going to talk in general terms. And I think it's time to bring in the very honorable guest of the night, executive producer, co-creator, showrunner, Joe Malazzi. Welcome, Joe.
I don't know about honorable, but I thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this with us, Joe. This is such a privilege and such an honor. I think that it's for our Orville Nation community, it's really been the highlight of this channel.
I can't say enough, guys. I cannot say enough what an honor it was to do this with Joseph. There is so much, as we go through these reviews with Joe, there is so much content here. And there is so much information that, I could watch these things 10 times. I would always grab something new from the rewatch. Really, it's we've all of us who've watched these, even participated in them, We don't even remember how much good content there is in here. So let me just shut up and let's listen.
No, actually, my pleasure. And, I think I mentioned it on our last discussion that the Orville and Dark Matter have a lot in common in terms of colorful characters, kind of a sense of humor, kind of it harkens back to the old sci-fi that I used to love watching as a kid.
Yeah, and as that we were discussing last time when we had you on, we were discussing that the involvement of comedic component to sci-fi, which is very true. Yeah, there's that in common with. Although it's different from the Orville, I think it's different, but it's not slapstick. But
it's different.
Well, watching a guy get rebounded off of his own weapon fire in this episode, that was pretty funny. I like that.
Pretty great.
That's true,
that was
Diga.
funny. So let me ask, just to kick things off, Joe, can you set kind of the framework for what the universe is, what the time, like the date might be?
Let me just say Tracy's comment. Yes, we absolutely need stuff from Joe, like soon. We need more Joe stuff. Guys, if on your Twitters or your social media, like Tracy, me, Katie, and we all have like Team Malazzi. So guys, hashtag Team Malazzi.
Sure.
Where are we when we and I know that these things are revealed as time goes on, but maybe it's a very general question if you want to answer it in the general way.
Yeah. So our series is set about 300 years into our future, where corporations have actually gone out and seeded worlds, and so power rests in these corporations. And they're the power brokers in the galaxy, but overseeing the galaxy is a policing force known as a galactic authority. And so within this world, we meet our characters in episode 1.
Awesome. And are there, let me just make sure I have the right files here. And
did you have an estimate of how many worlds that these corporations have? I mean, it doesn't get revealed, but I just wasn't sure if there was a thought that you had in your head of the rest of the crew, how many you were going to be involved with.
Yeah, we actually remember generating a list of about a dozen corporations, and some are actually more powerful than others. So I would think that the major corporations could have dozens of worlds under their control. So I would say at least there are about 100 colonies out there.
Wow. And as far as the and I know this is a down the road question, and we don't want to talk spoilers, but can we ask you just really quick? Earth is referred to not just Earth, but is referred to as Terra Prime.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Is there anything you can say about that in general terms?
Just in my mind, they went out and seeded these various worlds, and I mean, I think some people refer to it as Earth, but I think officially it's just referred to as Terra Prime, and there are, I believe, probably other Terras out there. Terra 2, Terra 3, Terra 4, but Earth is where it all began.
Okay. All right. So I think that we're gonna, let's see.
Cardinal Sin, thank you, my friend. You didn't have to do that, but thank you, Cardinal Sin. Guys, if anybody is not subbed to Gil, please make sure you do. Gil has a great channel, an amazing channel. I've been a guest many times there. He does some amazing stuff. He's really focused on doing stuff for, I can't even say, it's hard. He does so many things. Cardinal Sin, he's done stuff with Tracy Torme, Sliders, creator. He's done a lot of UFO stuff. He's done a lot of paranormal stuff. He does a lot of the prisoner. he's all over the place. It's just great content. So make sure you guys check that out. Thank you, Cardinal. Let me just say, Adega, I know you're in the chat. If you have any comments regarding our rerun here, I'd be happy to put them up on the screen. And if you put them up in the chat, if you have any comments about what we're talking about. Thank you, Gil. I'm going to put in your channel right now.
Let me put up our first images. So we kind of kick off the first episode where they are waking up on the Raza, and they don't know it's on the Raza. Like, that's one of the things in the episode, in the first episode. They don't know where they are, what ship they're on, and the first couple of scenes we see is the character that that ends up being called One waking up, and Two waking up, and they are inevitably trying to establish some kind of control over the ship, and they end up in some kind of conflict to assume control of the bridge.
Yeah,
that hit looked like it hurt.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, John Stead, our stunt coordinator, is always very careful. He's really great, and Melissa, especially, who plays a role of Two, she's terrific. I mean, her and especially Alice Malari Jr., who played Four, just went all out in their stunt work. So much so that it's one thing I learned on Stargate is floors and ceilings are so key, because you want to sort of create that sense of a real ship. So you want to establish real floors, or floors with textures, floors with ceiling. And I remember Melissa coming up to me after shooting the scene and holding up her hand, and I don't know if she landed a certain way, but she had the imprint of one of the grates, the floor grates, embedded on her hand. I was just, and it looked like it hurt a little bit, kind of an injury, but that's what I mean. She would always go all out.
That's awesome.
Let me just say what a great guest Melissa was when she was on, and also John Stead, director John Stead, and stunt coordinator John Stead. He was a fantastic guest. He was a fantastic guest. He was on several times with us. Joe just built an amazing team, and everybody who joined us was fantastic. It's just a wonderful experience.
Wow. And what was you said the stunt coordinator's name? The stunt coordinator's name again?
John Stead was our stunt coordinator, and he's a fantastic stunt coordinator, but he also directed our second unit. So essentially, what that means is occasionally, if you don't have time to shoot the entire episode within the allotted time, you put together a splinter unit. Usually, maybe it's a character or two characters in a nearby location, and you shoot them while the other scene is being shot. So he was our second unit director. He did a terrific job, and we had a slot available in later season one, and he ended up. I offered it to him because he did such a good job with the second unit stuff. Very good at getting those character moments, but just getting the humor of the scene as well. And he did a bang up job. We'll talk about that episode when it comes. It's episode 10, I think. We'll get to it. We'll figure it out. Yeah, there he is. There he is in action. The man. I mean, stunt coordinators are a breed all their own. I mean, I work with James Bamford on Stargate for many years. I don't know if you know James, but he's also a director now in the DC universe. Great guy, but truly a character. The same way that John is. John is when he's not stunt coordinating. He's being dropped off in the wilderness with a crossbow so that he can go hunt bears. You know, I wish I was making this up, but it is true. That's what he does in his leisure time.
That's awesome.
Wow. It sounds like the kind of person who would go storm chasing with you, Katie.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
He would totally be up to that.
Cut from the same cloth.
Yeah. He did.
Let me just say, we forgot to ask when we had John. We forgot. I think we forgot to ask him about his bear hunting activities.
Good work for us. I mean, he ended up doing an episode every season, and his episodes always ranked as my absolute favorites. Really great stunt coordinator and a great director as well.
Did he also work with For's sword work, or did he have somebody else to do that? Or
no, that was him. That was him as well. So I mean, he's he just covers it all, and it's amazing the way he can put these sequences together. And like I said, I mean, it just looks like chaos. But he's always very careful, and for him, safety is paramount. I mean, we got some really great fight sequences and stunt sequences in future episodes, and maybe I'll see what I can do about getting him to come aboard and one of these and
harsh chemicals on your jumpsuit.
Excuse me.
Most
what is this?
store-bought-
Oh, okay, yeah, just an adjunct here. Guys, let me really just say really quick that Mary, Mrs. Canuck, is in the chat, and Mary, you have a wrench now. Please do me a favor and put in your channel. Make sure everybody is subbed to you. Mary's Gaming Room. So please put in your channel, Mary.
That'd be awesome.
Take us through some of these sequences and his work and maybe his bear hunting.
I think my favorite part of that entire clip is he is in a plaid shirt and jeans, just destroying everyone.
He's also, does he do any acting? Because he acts just like the droid.
You know, it's funny. He doesn't really do any acting, except he had a cameo in who's the Captain Marvel movie, the Shazam movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember being in theaters watching it. There's a scene where a bus, I think, plummets off a bridge, and Captain Marvel saves the bridge, saves the bus, sets it down, and the passengers disembark, and he's like the last passenger to disembark.
I'm gonna have to watch that again.
Yeah.
I forgot to go back and get that footage. We want to see John in the Marvel movie. I forgot about that, and I remembered when I was listening to this today. Sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
Now, Joe, he's obviously been a stuntman. I'm sorry if I didn't catch if you said that. He's been a stuntman himself?
Yes, he is. He is a stunt coordinator, yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and it was interesting because I was watching, I have been binge watching this, and I definitely remember recalling scenes between 2 and 4
Mm-hmm.
where it seemed to me like there was no stunt double at all. Like they were down the road.
Yeah, we do have stunt doubles for the more dangerous stuff, but Alex and Melissa especially were really up for pushing it and doing as much as they could.
Wow. Okay.
Let me just stop it here. Thank you, Matt from Pranakasha. Thank you, my friend. You didn't have to do that. Thank you so much. Guys, another great channel. Please make sure you guys are subbed to Pranakasha Productions. He's doing stuff with JP Gotastic. He does a lot of stuff. Very creative guy, Matt. And I'm discovering he has great Spanish. So thank you very much, Matt. And I'm going to go find your channel. So thank you guys. Thank you very much, Matt. Great guy. Another great guy. Gap, please put in your channel. Everybody, guys, make sure you put in your channels. Our community is about growing together. In every chat, there's always one person, at least one person that probably is new and hasn't seen your channel, and if not, on the replay. So make sure you guys put in your channels.
Now, in the going back to, and it's just such a privilege to be walking through the episode and like this with Joe. And when we go back to that initial scene where 2 and 1 are, duking it out for control of the bridge, we see like this very little brief moment of possible, just a hint of possible attraction between them while they're fighting.
Yeah, well, I think more attraction on his part.
Yeah.
She's kind of all business. She wants to sort of get him out of the way so she can restore power. And so, yeah, there is that glimmer.
And exactly, she says exactly what you just said. You were in my way, right? Why didn't?
I had to laugh at that. Because that is such a relatable feeling. Like some days you just gotta get out of my way. I'm doing my job.
And
Okay,
just really
it's
perfect.
moments like these that Katie is kind of scary. Katie's basically just confessing that she just kicks ass on some days in the studio. That's what you're saying, Katie. All right, sorry, Joe. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
Sums up her character. It establishes who she is from the get-go, and so it's no surprise that ultimately she becomes the essentially their leader, their de facto leader.
Absolutely. Okay, I had a couple questions about because you've been recently on Twitter, you've been showing set and costume designs, a lot of them from Universe. And maybe that's for upcoming this weekend, some of the stuff you're going to be doing with that. But this was set in Canada, right?
Oh, we shot in Canada. Yeah.
Okay. The whole set, the image, who was the one who came up with the images and the design for the set, and how big was it? Because I'm always fascinated how a studio can make such small spaces look so large, because you go into the cargo bay and it looks huge.
Yes.
And then you're on the bridge, it looks big in the hallway. It amazes me how you guys do this.
Yeah, it's all trickery, to be honest with you. Although our underbelly, there's a scene where 3 walks down and there's a huge double door, the vault, if you will. And that was actually a very big area. That was our underbelly that sadly we didn't get as much use out of that we really should have. But the rest of the ship, I mean, really the ship had one main corridor and it branched off not to much. We had, the quarters, which, we would switch the positioning around so the bed would face this way, or, it was obviously one quarters, but it would have a different look for each characters. We had the bridge. The bridge was really where the money went. And we had the infirmary and our mess hall, which also doubled as Four's workout room. And so, it reminds me of when we were, I was working on Stargate, and we had the, what was the ship? The Daedalus. And we had this long walk and talk where 2 of the characters are walking down the corridor, then they take a left and they take a right. And you think, wow, how big is this ship? And you don't realize that they're actually just walking in circles. But, just the way they position everything and they kind of turn things around, it just seems to go on forever. And so that's really just the magic of television, just having a really great director. And, often we would just switch up not only the looks of the corridors, but sometimes, the corridors in the lower levels would have a darker lighting, while just the corridors in the upper levels would have kind of a signature kind of more red and yellow lighting. So just, there's so many tricks that can be used to really, expand those standing sets.
Well, it was impressive.
Very impressive.
And we see here the introduction of 3, who shows up after they've gotten control of the ship. And I got to tell you, Joe, when I'm watching this,
Mhm.
when I'm rewatching this, I'm so sorry, but there's just one thing that comes to mind when as I go back and analyze 3.
Mhm.
I'm gonna just put up this image because this is what I see now every time I see 3, and it's kind of exaggerated maybe, but this is what I see. I see Tackleberry.
But it's funny because, well, 2 things. One, what I love about sci-fi is, I built my career on sci-fi, and so I know all the cliches, if you will, and the chestnuts. And what I set out to do in Dark Matter was to just, establish these, seeming, established tropes and undermine them over the course of the show. So essentially, in the first episode, we don't know anything about these characters. So, you got the swordsman, you got the brooding swordsman, you got the kind of kick-ass leader, you've got 3 who everyone's like, oh, it's just, he's Jane from Firefly. And in the first 2 episodes, even actually very early on in the show, it's tough to get a beat on them beyond those surface impressions because they don't have a backstory to build on. So you're just, you have to sort of take these characters as what they are. And then as the show progresses, you begin to kind of undermine or subvert expectations. And it's funny you mentioned 3 because I was just thinking about this the other day. But I remember after the first 2 episodes aired, I think the first 2 episodes aired as kind of a back-to-back premiere. And of course, I went online, as I will often do, to check a fan reaction. And people were, pretty, positive about the show, but they were almost universal in the fact that they hated Anthony Lemke's character. For me, they thought he was an asshole. They thought he was just like a Jane clone. They absolutely hated him. And I remember I was actually surprised by the amount of hate he got. And I remember going to Anthony and I was like, I think I may have done your character a disservice. I mean, rating him so bad. And Anthony absolutely loved it. And he's like, no, because the cast already had up to episode 9. So he knew where his character was going. He's like, no, this is amazing. And, it's kind of true. It's reminds me of this psychology course I took in college, where my psychology teacher told me that the best of friends make the worst of enemies, and the worst of enemies make the best of friends. And it's kind of like that here, where basically you start off hating a character, and then as you get to know them, your opinion changes. And it's amazing. It's testament really to Anthony Lemke's performance that by the end of season 3, I mean, we would get these network audience surveys, and he was one of the favorite characters by far.
Which is sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. I mean, I was just amazed that you get from hated to beloved.
He makes, at the beginning, to me, he seemed like a angry, disgruntled brother of Han Solo. It kind of had that feel.
I like that.
Well, this is I actually, for this, I'd never seen the show before. So I'm watching it as we go ahead and do these reviews. And I got to say, I'm in the boat of, he's just a jerk. So I'm glad that there's something to look forward to.
Yeah, well, let's revisit around season 3 and let me know what you think then.
I'm seeing a lot of people saying favorite character, absolutely love him. So we'll see. I'm excited.
How did they do, all the actors, with not having a background to their character?
Well, it was really interesting because, on most productions, you never have that many scripts. A lot of productions are fly by the seat of their pants. I know, while we were in production, I know other productions, for instance, were writing scripts the night before. Sometimes they would be writing outlines on scrambling to write outlines, and it just didn't make sense to me. One of the things I learned on Stargate is that, preparation is key and just goes a long way towards ensuring that the money ends up on screen. And it's just easier for everyone. And so I made sure we had 9 out of 13 episodes before we went to camera. So even though they didn't have their character backstories, they had the episodes. and you know, they kind of grew to know the characters as kind of things went along. And I know that, you know, one of the big mysteries of the first season is, you know, who wiped their memories, who's the mole. And they would come by my office and be like, you know, in order to inform my performance, I think I really should know. And I'd be like, no. And in fact, there's a big reveal at the end of season 1 that I kept until the very last shot, or the last scene that was going to be shot. And Ivan Bartok, who was our co-executive producer, and he was on set, and he videotaped my reveal to the cast. So they didn't even know what was going to happen until just before they shot the scene. So that's another little goodie that I'll send your way when the time comes.
And that was the video of the reveal. We'll be showing it again several times. That was a lot of fun, and the reveal about who the mole was. And we'll be seeing. Well, I'm just letting you guys know we'll be rewatching that several times. It was a lot of fun.
Exciting for the whole production staff. Wow.
That's also brutal.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But it's fun. You know, I mean, I was on Stargate for 12 years, and I think I came up with the idea of Dark Matter, I think I want to say 2006 or 2007. I thought, okay, when Stargate Atlantis ends, we'll roll into Dark Matter. And of course, Atlantis got picked up, and then we went into universe, and then things were delayed. And so I had, I think like 6 or 7 years to sit on this series. And so I thought it actually turned out great, because I worked out all the character backstories. I had like a 5-season game plan. I knew, you know, how each season would begin and end. I had answers to all the mysteries, so I wasn't making up, you know, things as I was going along. And you know, one of the great things about that is that you're able to drop clues and hints as the episodes go along, where characters are like, "Oh, that doesn't make sense," or you know, why did the character say that? And then there's a payoff later on. I mean, you know, there's a look later in the season. It's just like a look one of the characters gives that basically just seems kind of weird, that pays off at the top of season 3. And I'll talk about that when we get to it. But you know, that was, you know, the most fun about writing Dark Matter was the fact that I had like a huge, you know, I had a plan. It was thought out, so you know, I could drop those clues and you know, keep the audiences on their toes.
Joe, before I ask you about Peggy's question, I just wanted to make a comment, and maybe you might want to make a comment, that one of the things we talk a lot about on Orville Nation is how Seth MacFarlane, apparently he takes his work ethic from animation, and they have all their scripts done and super polished before they start their season, and they're just like adding little tidbits, and apparently they have it all worked out. So it's kind of like what you were saying, to have, you know, from your time on Stargate, to have things worked out ahead of time.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, what happens is you get in a room with writers, and you know, and you just break the stories. It's called breaking the stories. You put it up on the whiteboard. What happens in the opening scene? What happens in Act 1? What happens in Act 2? And so on. How do you end the episode? And then you take that beat sheet and you go out and you flesh it out in an outline. You get notes, then you go to first draft, then you get notes, you go to second draft. And so, you know, season 1 was actually probably the easiest to write, because I had really sat on those 13 story ideas for so long that once we got into the room, we ended up, I mean, most productions for a 13 episodes a season would take at least, I think, 3 to 5 months.
Let me just say that, yeah, this is one of Joe's babies, because he had been mapping this out for a long time, and I can imagine how satisfied he must have been to see it, you know, come together on screen, and at the same time how frustrating for him to have it discontinued after season 3. Hashtag Dark Matter season 4, guys. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
13 episode season. We did it in 2.5 weeks, and then we went off and wrote. So yes, very much you want to prepare as much as possible, but then I could have done more, but I wanted to keep the last few episodes kind of open because I wanted to see what the actors brought to the table, and that sort of it didn't change the backstories or the general arcs, but it did lead to obviously changes in dialogue, in certain relationships, and in screen presence. I mean, the character of Android, played by Zoe Palmer, is a perfect example of that. Originally, she was intended to be a background character, but our scripts kept coming in short, and so I had to write extra scenes. And she was so much fun that I just wrote for her character, and we ended up, creating this whole other backstory for the android and character arc of her own. And she, over the course of the show, became very much a member of the crew. Like she was a member of this, dysfunctional family.
That was something I was just going to bring up about the casting, because I'm glad you did what you did, because I can't imagine having that droid as a background character. It really enriched the whole thing. But how much were you involved with the casting anyway? Because I think each one is pretty dang brilliant.
Yeah, I was all over the casting. So
let me just say that Zoe Palmer was also a great guest. She actually came on at the very end with Melissa. Another great guest. Thank you, Zoe, again, also for joining us. And let's see, I keep interrupting Joseph.
It was myself, Jay Firestone, who was the president of Prodigy Pictures, the producer, the production company, and Vanessa Piazza, who was also an executive producer. But I kind of knew. I mean, with each character was, we talked about the fact the importance I play on humor in the show. So I wanted to make sure that all of the characters were humorous in a different way. And so that was key for me in casting. But I mean, the casting process was just very interesting. I remember, for instance, the character of 3, played by Anthony Lemke, when he auditioned, there was no one even close to him. Like usually you have like a top 2 or 3. He was the guy, and I remember telling him, he was like, "Oh, I wish we would have known that. My agent would have known that when we were negotiating my deal." But he was great. Melissa, she had not done any television before. She was on Broadway. I think she was on doing Les Mis, and I think she what do you call it? Sort of a she wasn't the lead. She was kind of like the backup for the lead. It's sort of like
understudy. Yeah,
the understudy, right? Yes. So she auditioned for us. I remember our casting agent sending us her audition tape and saying, this girl's never done anything before, but she is so good. And when I saw her, I was like, she's the character, because I've always been a big anime fan, and you can see very much the anime influences in this series, from kind of the swords in space angle of 4 to the character of 5, who in many ways reflects the character of Radical Edward and Cowboy Bebop, to Melissa's character, who I wanted an Asian female lead, and and I was just amazed that she was just perfect for the role.
Joe, do you want to comment on Peggy's comment?
Okay, Peggy asked.
Go ahead.
Did you, Joe, have these written as small books? I think as storyboards for those 9 episodes, and how much did the actors add to their characters as they went? Well, I mean, as I said, storyboards, I usually imagine, like what you were talking about, animation, where you're breaking it down visually. But in the writer's room, you really break it down, a story beat by beat. So very much I had the idea of what stories would be. We broke them in the room, and then when it got to the actors, they just embraced the characters and made them their own. And that's what I was talking about, the fact that these guys, the cast was so good that it was really really a collaboration, right? I mean, they would bring the characters to life that were on the script, occasionally adding stuff. Especially Anthony, like he always used to love to eat. Whenever he was in the mess, he'd be like, "Hey, can I do this scene eating?" Remember actually one scene, he's like eating a lamb chop. He wanted to eat like this enormous lamb chop, and so basically in the first take we're like, okay, and then by the last take he's like gnawing on the bone because we didn't have any backup lamb chops. Anyways, that was Anthony, but he would always say something like, "Hey, can I add this or can I do this?" And 9 times out of 10, I would always say yes. I mean, add it. I mean, do what's in the script, but also do an alt version, your version, and then I'll decide in the editing room. And 9 times out of 10, I would use what he would bring in, and that's how the characters grew, and it informed the characters on screen, but also informed me in my writing as I continued to write them and write for them.
By the way, eating on every time they are eating and doing stuff like that, like it just makes you feel like they're really living on the ship. So I thought that was those little subtle things are.
I'm quite sure that Anthony must have put on like 15 pounds every season because he loved. I think there was this gruel that they would always eat, and it was like cinnamon oatmeal that he.
Let me just say that it seemed like Anthony Lemke. Like Anthony thought it was just very, very realistic for to be seen eating. Like it's kind of like for me, it kind of feels like how the same way that Seth wants to capture like downtime, off duty time on the Orville. They want to make it, they're trying to make it more real and authentic. And by the way, I've been thinking for a long time we might just do like some lunch streams dedicated to Anthony and 3, where all the panelists have to eat while we're on the stream on Anthony Lemke's stream. So we're probably going to do that at some point. Good question, Gil. How's Powder Mage doing? I would pose that question to Joe on Twitter. Joe's really good about if you tag him, he's really good about responding to everyone. So I would tag him or tweet right at Joe and ask him. Yeah, Powder Mage. Wow, I can't wait for that.
Right, and so they would just make him cinnamon oatmeal, and that's what he would eat. You can't count how many times he actually eats moving forward in these episodes.
We'll do that. Actually.
We're going to notice that.
Tracy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fat Steven Seagal. I'm sorry you can't fit in the airlock.
Thank you,
guys. Thank you for your support, my friend. Thank you so much. So here we see here that they're as they're coming out, we see here in this scene where that 1 is saying that they're naming themselves as in the order that they woke up. Mm-hmm. And 6 is, and they're telling 6, well, I guess you're 6 because he was the 6th one out. Is there any, by the way, without getting into any future, and without getting into any spoilers, is there any significance, Joe, to their number of appearance at the
some, yes. I mean, the character of 1, you think he's going to be, as number 1 is a number 1 in the call sheet on the production. He's going to be the hero, but it turns out he's really not the hero. And number 2, she's the one who really steps up. 4 is in Asian culture. Number 4 is death. So I thought that was apropos. So that's why he's 4. And I'm trying to think of it. I mean, I'm not sure about 5, 6, and 3. What my thinking was.
I have a reasoning for 6, but I don't want to say it because I think it's a spoiler. But I thought I saw a reason for 6, but anyway.
All right.
Let's see. Sometimes fans just read too much into stuff, Joe.
I love it.
That's our job.
It was amazing what I thought subconsciously.
I know, right? And here again, we see our good friend 3 discover. They're trying to explore the ship, and they're finding Tackleberry finds his crate of arms, which is so iconic of him.
Yeah.
And we go through this. We start to go through this process where they're starting to explore aspects of the ship and discovering things. And so they've woken up everybody, as far as they know.
Mhm.
And they've gone to they've discovered that they're apparently shipping arms. Is one of the things that they've kind of discovered about themselves. And they discover a lot of other stuff. They go ahead and they discover, what is it? 3 and 6 discover the Marauder, which I thought is a pretty cool little shuttle they got.
Yeah.
And
Who designed that? Was that the same one who did the rest of the ship?
Yeah.
It looks
So
different.
no, Bartol Redalik, I think you pronounce his last name, designed both the. Oh no! Wait, no. Yeah, Bartol designed the Raza, but actually James Robbins, who's a production designer on Stargate, designed the Phantom Class Marauder. And he ended up actually designing a bunch of the other ships as well, I believe.
I don't
the
know
corporate
why, but
ships.
it kind of reminds me of the shuttles from Destiny.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure that was an influence because our production designer Ian Brock, he was like a huge Stargate Universe fan, which surprised me. I'm always surprised by who is and who isn't a Stargate fan or a sci-fi fan or a dark matter fan. I remember actually I was in LA. I think after season 1 aired, and I went to dinner with Mark Bendavi to play the part, the character of One, and we took an Uber, and we were just talking to the Uber driver, and we were like, what are you watching now? He's like, I just discovered this great sci-fi show called Dark Matter, and we're like, are you kidding me? And basically then he recognized Mark, and he took pictures with Mark, but it's just, I always. It's so tough working in sci-fi because I one of the other producers on Stargate, for instance, whenever he would take meetings in LA, the executives would never know. They'd be like, Stargate, was that on in the US? Whereas basically in France, Chris Judge, who would play Teal'c, couldn't walk down the street without being recognized. People were like mobbing, like, Monsieur Teal'c, Monsieur Teal'c. It's something about Europe, especially, love their sci-fi.
That's awesome.
what did I do? One second. Wrong one. Oh, there we are. Okay, there we are. And Joe's been so kind to share a lot of behind the scenes pictures. And that's what I was trying to share. And let's see. There we go.
Can't wait.
If you've been looking for a faster and easier way to edit your videos, then you're going to love this one. You can now edit your video.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
Do you want to tell us what this is, Joe?
Wow.
This is the bridge under construction. And that's Mean Gene Brophy, who works on our show. I love the design because I hadn't seen this done before. Because I usually, when you're on the bridge, you have the big bay window that also subs as a view screen or the backdrop for a hollow screen. So this look actually was really cool. And there's a shot. The first 2 episodes are directed by TJ Scott, and one of my favorite shots is that scene where everybody's going to sleep, or everybody's sleeping, except two, who sits on the bridge, and it's a shot. It's an exterior interior shot where you pan past the windows and you're looking in on her while everyone is either asleep or doing some other stuff. And the fact that she's not sleeping, is also a subtle hint as to what's to come. But it's layers upon layers.
Let me just take 1 second here, guys. Let me see. Let me take 1 second here. And I do want to remind everybody, guys, one of the raffle items that we will have coming up starting this week. Stay tuned for the video and the launch. I do want to show you guys. For some reason, I don't have the Melissa picture of the jumpsuit, but one second. Let me go back to, let me do that later. Let me go back 1 second. Oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, this is the jumpsuit, guys. This is a 3 in the jumpsuit. This is one of the we're offering up. Melissa donated her jumpsuit, her prison jumpsuit. It's very cool. There's a lot of we'll be showing more details about this. There's very cool stuff on the sleeves, and it looks kind of worn and used, but it's pretty. It's in really good shape though. At the same time, she kept it. She's kept it well maintained. So that is her official screen costume for the prison episodes, and so we'll be that's one of the items that we're going to be auctioning off in the top tier. So let's go back to the videotape. I guess you can't say videotape anymore, can you? Okay. The recording already.
Absolutely. And Joe, do you want to tell us again? Do you want to remind us again what was your whole inspiration when you were kind of putting this, like when you were coming up with Dark Matter? Do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a sci-fi fan. I've always been a big fan of the bad guys, and I think one of the shows that most influenced me, I mean, obviously besides Blake 7, is not a sci-fi series, but one of my favorite pilots is the pilot for The Shield. I don't know if you've seen it, but it ends with the biggest WTF moment where the good guys suddenly become the very bad guys. And so that's what I set out to do with Dark Matter. I was always been fascinated by this idea of redemption. And, are you born bad? Are you a product of your environment? Can people change? And so I wanted to create a show that followed the bad guys and, introduced these mysterious characters. By the end of the episode, you find out that they're the absolute worst of the worst. And then you kind of spend the rest of the show or the series peeling the onion on their backstories and deciding whether you ultimately forgive them or not.
Well, that's
I have
one
to
of the...
say, go ahead.
Nope. No, because I've been talking way more than you.
No, but like with the whole episode, I didn't even have a clue that was the direction you were going. And I love when that happens. Because you think it's a sci-fi show. You're following the good guys. Sure, their memories are wiped, but they're going to figure this out. And then you just realize, good God, man.
Yeah. Well, that's
what makes good sci-fi.
Yeah, that's what I set out to do. And you'll notice in every episode ends with like a double holy crap moment at the end. So, you know, as you'll see sort of as each episode goes on, you know, twists, turns, shocks, and surprises. That's what I love about when I sit down and watch a show. If a show can surprise me, then I'm on board. And that's what I set out to do, is just, you know, not kind of like, you know, cheap, like surprises that aren't set up, but basically surprises that are set up. And, you know, it's sort of like at the end of The Sixth Sense, when you're like, well, this doesn't make any sense. Then you realize, oh my God, it does. And, you know, that's what I really set out to do with the show.
I'm going to love this show, I can tell.
Oh, I hope so.
You
And
are
she
Katie.
did love the show.
I love
Katie
it when
is-
shows
she
are like
did.
roller coasters, because it's just such a fun ride.
Oh, there's our pods.
Yeah, these are the pods where, right, Joe? Where
Let me just say, hats off to Katie, who went one episode at a time. And as far as we know, she didn't cheat and peek ahead. She gave her authentic, true reaction every time, every Monday. I think she watched them on Monday every time, like a little before the show, almost always. So thank you, and hats off to Katie for doing that. It was fun to gauge her reaction. I think Joe appreciated it, and it was fun to see her react to it in real time. You know, and she also filmed herself a couple times when there were some important episodes, and she spilled, I think, was it ice cream on her couch at one of the times. All right, sorry, go ahead.
we find that somebody has been a stasis pod, correct?
Yep, correct. So interesting. I mean, I'm not sure if you were aware, but Dark Matter was a comic book before it went to air. And I mean, I had the pilot, and I got my start in animation. I was a manager of animation development. And I quickly learned that while people sort of respect original ideas, everybody wants IP. And I think we discussed this on a previous podcast, the fact that if it's an intellectual property, if it's based on a book, if it's based on something proven, then they love it even more. So I approached Dark Horse Comics about turning the first 2 episodes into the opening arc of a comic book series. And really ideally what I really wanted to do was continue the comic book series. But they were like, no, let's focus on the 4 issues and see where we go with that. And so, you know, in the comic book, the stasis pods are filled with like an amniotic fluid that you know basically spills out onto the graded floor. And you know, once you sort of move into production and you adapt your work, there's certain, you know, I say corners you have to cut, but you have to sort of decide where you want to put the money. And the money, in the end, we decided not to put it in amniotic fluid. We just went with the smoke effect inside the stasis pods,
Right, Adega.
which looked pretty cool as well.
Now, with when they woke up, like the order they woke up, I had this theory just watching the episode. But did they wake up based on if they're a heavy sleeper and a light sleeper? Because I would totally be 6.
It's possible. It's possible. That's an interesting theory.
It's like a little headcanon I had going on, like 6.
I like it. I like it. Yeah. I can see Roger sleeping in, yeah.
Just like the kind of guy who sleeps through an earthquake.
Yeah. He seems the type.
And Joe, do you want to do you want to say how the comics might tie into episode 1 or like?
Well, I mean, the first 2 issues of the comic book are pretty much exactly episode 1, almost like dialogue beat for beat.
Let me just say, guys, I think Rapunzel, if she wants to, it might put in a couple of tweets about that Melissa or a tweet that Melissa had been engaged in on Twitter regarding her rookie character, and I haven't watched enough of that. So about the Chenford shippers, Rapunzel, you understand it better. So if you want, feel free to post in the chat. And thank you.
The episodes 3 and 4 at the time, episode 2 wasn't written. So issues 3 and 4 are more or less, I mean, it progresses pretty much along the same way as the second episode does. Well, I think there's a little more, a few more explosions in the comic book. There's Ian Brock, our production designer, checking out the stasis pods as they're in production here. Wood and I think and plastic for the glass.
That'd make a really cool like bed after you finish up the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, did Joe, do you sleep in one?
Sadly, I did not keep a stasis pod, although it always happens. I mean, at the time, it just things are just so crazy and you don't think about it. But in retrospect, I'm like, I should have kept a pod, although I would have driven my wife crazy. She'd be like, where the hell are you going to put a pod? I mean, it's bad enough. I kept a bunch of stuff from the show.
That's so cool. The stasis pods, like it'd be awesome to have one. Wow.
A bunch of props and costumes and
I got some spare cash. Can we make a deal here?
Well, I came up with stuff because in my mind, I'm like, if we get a chance to do the miniseries, then I'm going to have, a lot of the stuff already packed away.
Or you could just have a really great time at Comic-Con. Just get all your friends, go cosplaying.
You can all be Galactic Authority.
Yes.
I had a question. It just kind of, it was an off question. I don't know how often you get asked something like this because it's not, I haven't heard too many, but when you start a show like this and, it's, you got a few comic book people that may recognize it right away, but what was your main goal and how did the advertising go for it? Because I caught a commercial on Sci-Fi. Yeah. And, I'm a big sci-fi buff. Anything sci-fi, I'll give it a shot. And of course, I got hooked right away. But I was just wondering, what was your main focus for the advertising? Because it obviously worked on me.
Well, I mean, I'm glad it worked on you. But I have to say I was kind of disappointed with the advertising. And there was hardly any. I mean, I'm always amazed by, I frequent Reddit a lot. And the people who discover dark matter now, they'll come across it on Netflix and they'll be like, oh, maybe the show isn't for me. And then they'll sit down and watch it and end up loving it. And it just, it was very much of an under the radar show. So I'm glad you noticed it. But, for the most part, I think it was word of mouth, really. And I mean, we did get an initial push from some of the magazines and some of the websites. In fact, as the show went on, I ended up building a great relationship with a lot of the reviewers who would review the episodes on a weekly basis. But at the beginning, there wasn't really that much of a push, or as much of a push as I would have liked.
That's a shame.
No, that's such as the show business, unless you're, like a big show, like Battlestar Galactica. I remember they got the billboards and the posters, and I think that, they got, I think the pilot ended up airing on NBC, but we're just kind of a small show, so we were not afforded the same opportunities, sadly.
Plus, you didn't have the pre-made audience from the 70s, like Battlestar did, Star Trek, or one of those.
And it was definitely under my radar. I mean, I can say I heard about it, but it was it was definitely under my radar. Joe, Corrine asks, what prop that you envisioned were you most excited to see come to life?
My favorite prop, I guess Three's gun, Bubba. It's in the comic book, it's like one heavy duty. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so I was very much looking forward to seeing how that would come together. And you know, the thing is massive. And there were two versions. One was the actual real version for like the, you know, those hero shots that weighed a lot. And then there was a lighter version that he could basically, run with. And again, I'm talking about sort of anime influence, but that gun was almost as big as Jodelle. And one of like the classic anime tropes is the little girl with the big gun. And, after season 1, I was like, I've got to get.
That is so true, actually, what Joe just said. Especially in anime.
That gun into Five's hands. And we ended up doing it in season 2. So you can watch for that.
And here we see a little bit more of, let me just make this bigger, of the actual working.
Oh yeah, the pods.
And Joe's been so kind to show us some of these back, behind the scenes images.
I can only imagine, like, if that was filled with fluid, how difficult that would have been to reshoot.
Yes, and refill.
Oh man!
Right, and the floors you would probably want to have them porous so it could drain out.
Yes, graded. It would have been like a whole thing. So yeah, there's Alex Malari Jr., who's been very busy since the show has ended. He's done a couple of Netflix series. I think he's doing a movie now. So
wow.
Yeah, he's been very busy, and he was a great guest as well. We talked to him we talked to Alex on what, I don't remember. I think it was season 2, mid-season 2 maybe. Yeah, he was a great guest. He's very. It's funny because Joe's always said this. Alex is like a very jovial, funny guy. And in Dark Matter, he's always like so serious, and even later, like kind of a little bit twisted there, and evil a little bit. He's got this dark side to him, but Alex is just like a bunch of laughs. So anyway, we'll be getting to that at some point.
Did he come in with sword skills?
He sent in a demo reel that was basically cut together of sort of the small roles he had played. But one of the things that struck me was he did this whole sort of like boxing sequence where he taped up his hands, and it was him boxing. And I didn't know if he had actually worked with swords, and I don't know if he had actually done much sword play. But he was obviously up to the task, and he was like, there was a short list of like 2 or 3. The role was actually opened up to all genders, so we had a couple of actresses who were on the short list as well, who were fantastic. But Alex really embraced the role, and he's just fantastic, and he actually grew as an actor as well. You can see sort of his early performance to the way his performance matures over the course of the 3 seasons. It's something really amazing to watch.
I think that added to his gaining his memory as well over time.
Yeah. And then Mystique, and the fact that the show wasn't picked up for the 4th season is kind of heartbreaking because I think of what I had planned for these characters, and I won't give anything away, but what I had planned for 4 would be very cool. So
Fan film.
yeah.
What was that?
Can you address that real quick, Joe? What's the problem?
That would be a great thing, a Dark Matter fan film, wouldn't it, Adega? Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted myself.
See, for any fan films, are you guys CBSing your fans, or are you being more open?
No, I mean, look,
And let me just say before Joe answers, of course, I am referring there to CBS celebrating the 50th anniversary of Star Trek by, suing the X and R fan film. Yep, that's what I meant.
really, it's more of an issue for Prodigy Pictures. But the fact that we didn't have T-shirts, that we didn't, I kind of always have embraced the fan community. I've never seen what the issue is with fan fiction or fan films. How they could hinder or take money away from the original. In fact, actually, more than anything, it just keeps the spirit of the original alive. So, I've always been a big fan. It's also I mean, these pictures of there's Jodelle on set between scenes. Sometimes rather than go back to her trailer, she would just kind of curl up in a chair and nap like a little kitten on a chair. In fact, I have some photos of her kind of curled up napping. One of the policies of a lot of shows is they never like to release images before the episode airs. And I've always been of the opposite belief, that unless it's a huge spoiler, get fans excited. Show them what the ship design is going to be. Show them, an interior of the ship. Get the buzz going earlier on or between episodes, rather than just keeping everything a secret. One of my favorite stories of kind of that mindset was, I think, the Devlin and Emmerich Godzilla movie, where they didn't want to reveal the look of Godzilla before the premiere, and so they waited, and then the movie premiered, and it bombed, and it was really bad because apparently toy sales for movies like a Godzilla, usually the biggest toy sales are like in the ramp up to the movie. So basically, they would have sold, I don't know how many Godzillas or tie-in things in like the month before the premiere. But the fact that they couldn't, there was a moratorium on the look, they had to wait till after the premiere. And because they waited, they ended up getting screwed. So, let that be a lesson to productions. Give your fans or potential fans a sneak peek.
Absolutely. Joe, Corinne says she's up for doing a fan film. That's great.
Excellent. I know. I'm familiar with Corinne. I think she would be great.
I wanted to ask you, Joe, without getting into spoilers, we see down the road, we see possibilities of, so now we're in episode 1, and they have no memories of who they are. And so it's kind of like a clean slate for them. And it's kind of like they can go in either direction. They can develop their personalities from this point in either direction. And we see, like, down the road, without getting into spoilers, how their lives may have otherwise turned out, I guess you could say. Would you say that, is it fair to say that this crew, the crew of La Raza, turns out the way they do in part to Five's influence?
Yes, I would say that is a fair assumption, and it's something that I think actually even Six mentions at one point in the show, the fact that really, like, in the last scene of the episode, you see all their mugshots up there except Five. And you wonder, like, how the hell does she get on board? And she ends up being the glue that really holds them all together.
And let me just say, guys, remember that I stopped it 1 sec. This is me live talking. Remember later on that, and yeah, like Roger Cross 6 does say something about that, I think. And later on, guys, when we see the alternate universe crew that doesn't have Five, like Joe points out there, how much of a difference Five was, because the alternate reality crew they were not influenced by Five, and also the fact about their memories and stuff. But anyway, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
And you'll see how it's interesting how their relationship develops, especially her relationship with Three, where clearly at the beginning they don't like each other, and then by the end of by episode 3 they develop this big brother, little sister relationship. That's really kind of heartwarming.
How many people auditioned, or do you remember, for her role? How easy was it to pick her out?
We had, I would say, like at least 50 people audition for each role. It's some of like the leads.
Wow.
As many as like 200. But I always had her. I had always had Jodelle Ferland in the role as 5, just because I worked with her when she was 13 years old on an episode of Stargate called Harmony, where she played a petulant little princess, Princess Harmony. And I remember I was on set for pretty much the entire shoot. We were in the forest. It was her, Joe Flanagan, and David Hewlett. And her mother accompanied her, and she knew all her lines. She not only knew her lines, but she knew Joe and David's lines, and she would prompt them if they would ever hesitate or get mixed up. And I was so impressed with her performance. And so years later, when I created the character of 5, I thought of her. In fact, actually, the character of 5 was originally envisioned as a lot younger. She was like a 13-year-old. Jodelle at 13 would have been perfect, but Jodelle at, I think she was 19 or 20 when the show premiered. She was equally perfect. I remember reaching out to her like, hey, I want you to audition for the show. She was fantastic. She was really great.
In case you guys don't remember, let me just show, because I happen to have it right here. Let me just show a picture of Jodelle. And I'm sorry, it's Jodelle. I've known people named Jodelle spelled the same, and they always pronounced it Yodel. And I kept, even when we had Jodelle on, I called her Yodel the whole time. I'm sorry, Jodelle. And this is just so you guys remember. This is her in Stargate Atlantis. That's Jodelle in Stargate Atlantis. And this is that episode where she was like she was like the heiress to some planet, and they had to protect her, and she kind of had a crush on Joe Flanagan's character. So anyway, and Rodney McKay was very had a lot of friction with her, but then they become buddies. Anyway, let's go back to the discussion.
And another thing that sort of, just kind of, you think back to the casting and the way things could have gone. And I remember she was basically in the short list. It was her and another girl who was very good, but she was not the character. And I remember one of the producers saying, this character has to be sexy. And I'm like, have you read the script? This character is not. This character is supposed to be the kid. She's not supposed to be sexy. And I very much fought for Jodelle.
TV producers, guys. TV producers. Sorry, Joe. Go ahead. I mean producers. I didn't mean to say producers. Sorry, Joe. I meant TV execs. TV execs. Sorry, executives. Sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
And she was just fantastic. She, in the end, I mean, she's been in the business acting since she was, I think, like 2 or 3. Like, started off with commercials, and she was always the creepy kid in Silent Hill, and in the horror movies. And so, with 20 years experience, she was the most experienced actor on the cast, which is kind of amazing, given that everyone else was older than her.
Right.
That's impressive.
Wow. And here we just, this image is from further down the episode, but we see here where 3 is voting to not let
Her vote. Yeah.
her vote.
Yeah, this scene is actually very interesting in that it also gives you a kind of a hint of the dynamics. The fact that basically 3 is always a contrarian, and 4 is a little more mercenary, but he's also a logical thinker. 6 and 1 are kind of more the kind of the more reasoned characters, and 5 thinks with her heart. But the way
and I'm sorry, Joe, for interrupting you. Sorry, let me just add, of course, We have a lot of Stargate fans in here. Thanks, Rapunzel. Yeah, Jodelle also played the young Adria in SG1. It was season 9, I think. Yeah, absolutely. She was fantastic, and she was very creepy as a kid. She was kind of like a creepy kid. She was great. She was amazing. And Joe actually says that Joe remarked at one time, a couple times that Jodelle took kind of pride in being able to be the creepy kid as an actor. All right, let's go back. Thanks, Rapunzel.
Goes down. I don't know if anybody ever notices, but basically they're like, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to go down, send them down to the surface? Or we're going to keep the weapons. And so two vote to send them down to the surface, 3 vote to keep the weapons, and 2 with the deciding vote decides to do something completely different and send half to the surface and keep half. So essentially she makes the decision. They call it to a vote, but it seems like a compromise, but really she's just making the call. And that's very much her character.
And does that whole vote, Joe, say something about who they all used to be, too?
Yeah, I think very much as well. It sort of gives you a hint of who these people were as well.
Interesting. I'm trying to think, where's this going to go? But I don't think I'm going to guess where
No
it's going to
spoilers.
go.
And we're just a reminder that Katie was watching these episodes she didn't binge ahead. She watched it every week as if it was being released right before our show. So Katie's a trooper.
No spoilers.
The only spoiler I'll give for you is you're in for a good ride. This is fun.
Thank you.
Woo!
Most definitely. And Katie is the queen of cosplay, so we'll see what she comes up with when she's watching Dark Matter.
There might be a Dark Matter fandom forecast coming up. Who knows?
And Katie did a great 5 cosplay. Let me welcome, by the way, somebody we have backstage. There she is, Maria Shinzai of Tea and Telly. Welcome, Maria. How are you? I can't hear you, Maria. You have no sound. I cannot hear you, Maria.
Does it sound all right?
Let me see. Is it me? Oh, it's me.
It's you.
Sorry. It's mine. Yeah, sorry guys. It's me. It was me. Thank you for joining us, Maria. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Thanks for jumping in and joining me. I'm sorry to invite you onto a stream where I'm not allowing you to talk much.
No. And who wants to hear me? They came for the Dark Matter moments here.
All right, so I'm just going to get back to the stream, and we'll comment later on. Okay.
Okay.
And Joe, let me ask you. This has been on my mind because I'm bilingual and I speak Spanish. Does the name of Raza? Is there any intention to that? In Spanish, it means race in Spanish, like ethnicity, race.
It could, but it could also refer to sort of a clean slate, Latin, the tabula rasa. The fact that sort of their memories were wiped.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Or it could just be the name of the ship that they ended up getting somehow, or one of them ended up taking.
Now, you just brought up another question for me.
Mm-hmm.
How much has gone, like what part of the story that's in your head has yet to be revealed because there's no season 4? Is there?
As I said, I envisioned the series as a 5-season story arc, with each season almost as an installment in a book series with a beginning, a middle, and an end. So the major mysteries that you set up in season 1, who wiped their memories, who can they trust, who can they not trust, is very much season 1. And I'm not going to give away anything about the finale, but just say that the way the finale, the first episode ends, it's very appropriate given the way the first season ends. And so, the second season, again, I don't want to give away spoilers, but is very much, a beginning, middle, and end. Third season as well. Fourth and fifth season, it's kind of unfortunate because I did have a game plan for those as well. And I had actually envisioned two endings for the series. One was actually a very dark ending, and one was a more kind of upbeat ending. And
of course, Maria, we didn't get any of them.
Right.
We didn't get either the dark one or the light one.
Mm-mm.
Too bad. Well, hopefully we will.
We're gonna have to talk to him about that.
Oh, you'll have to talk to him about that.
Yeah, we'll have to.
That's a pretty cool shuttle, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Let me go back.
In a perfect world, we get the chance to basically tell that story as a mini series, as maybe a sort of 6 to 8 episode mini series sometime down the road.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, Farscape got the shot, got the chance. So,
wow. So getting back to the episode, and we see here that there's some kind of alert. There's some kind of activity that's been started on the ship, and they find themselves battling the android.
mm-hmm.
And it's curious. It's curious. I actually wanted to. I was curious about this because what is actually going on here with the android? Because I thought it was kind of left unanswered, Joe.
Yeah, well, basically, it's left unanswered in the pilot, but then you kind of put together the clues about what happened later on in the season, and I'll point them out as we go, especially in we do or it's not this season, maybe season 2, where we do the AU episode. Anyways,
Okay.
But essentially, what the android is awakened and attacks them immediately. And 2 points out some sort of security protocol has been enacted. So for some reason, the android is on security mode. She doesn't recognize them, and views them as a potential threat. And so they ended up shutting her down. But in shutting her down, they ended up wiping her memory stores. And it's kind of appropriate enough that her condition ends up mirroring the very same conditions that they suffer from. The fact that they all have amnesia as well.
And she doesn't actually kill anybody. That should be pointed out.
No, exactly. She basically attacks them, and then through Tu's quick actions, she ends up being shut down before she can actually hurt anyone.
Would she have actually, if she hadn't been stopped, would she have actually gone on and killed someone, or was she more of the just aim to wound sort of security robots?
I think you'll see in later episodes that she is perfectly capable of dealing with threats. So
and that's very true. Later, she just kicks ass whenever she wants to, and not only does she kick ass, but she kills people, on the spot. So that's an interesting point that she doesn't actually kill anybody here.
I think that she could have been looking to subdue them, but in the event that they would have proven unsubduable, then she would have taken the appropriate steps to ensure that they would not have been a threat.
Okay.
Any truth to Jack O'Neill's question of rumors? Were the rumors true about an SG-1 crossover with season 4 of Dark Matter?
And before Joe answers this, this is a fascinating point that some people, well, a lot of people don't know. Did you know that, Maria? Did you know there was going to be a potentially a Dark Matter Stargate crossover?
Actually, no. I mean, there were rumors, but nothing,
Yeah. So that's yeah. Well, when I heard it, I was pretty surprised when I heard it. Let's see.
Somewhat true. After the show was canceled, I was in talks with MGM, and at the time they were looking for material for their channel, and so we discussed the possibility, and I thought, well, what a great opportunity is, MGM owns Stargate, and if they end up airing Dark Matter, this would be a great opportunity to, keep Stargate franchise alive and give offer a few Easter eggs to the Stargate fans. So
now that's a fascinating idea that Joe's putting out there, because Stargate was off the air, and Joe's saying, well, what a fascinating way to give a few Easter eggs to the Stargate fans and to actually kind of keep it alive. It's a great idea, isn't it? Isn't it, Maria?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think because you have fans from both sides, and it would have been exciting to see. But I mean, awesome idea. But I kind of wondered. I mean, each one stands alone anyway. It's not like they needed help for that. But I think it would have been a way to definitely keep it engaged, to keep them, engaged in that. But I just think that they stand alone enough that they didn't.
And later on, at some point, we will see how Joe had pitched the idea of the crossover. So, alrighty, here we go. Look at Tom Gardner's spooky Halloween picture type here.
I know, that's awesome.
That was under discussion, and if it had happened, then yeah, absolutely, it would have been great to to be able to do something like that. But sadly, we were up against the clock, and it was just it just would have taken too much time. So the decision had to be made early, and sadly, it was a no.
Okay, and we see a little bit. We see that's amazing, Joe itself. That whole. I mean, maybe we can get into it another time.
Sure, yeah.
That whole thing is, that whole concept that you're talking about is amazing. We see here also a couple of scenes later. We see that our first moment kind of with 6 and 3, and it's kind of awkward. But
6 and 5, or 6 and 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, 6 and 5. Sorry, yeah, you're right. 6 and 5. Yeah, it's kind of awkward, but it's the first time, because they have kind of a special relationship that forms.
Yeah.
How does it? What was your? I mean, I think you probably knew where their relationship was going. How is it? How is this first scene for you in writing it?
I mean, the pilot is kind of raw. I look back at it and I'm like, some things are going to change. I would have changed in retrospect, but this scene very much, encapsulates the characters. How 6 is kind of very patient, and how kind of super weird 5 is. Like you're like, what exactly is going on with this kid? And it just kind of a harbinger for things to come. I look at this scene and I think back to how we ended up casting Roger. And there's a scene in a later episode where he's talking to her after some incident, and he basically just says, there'll come a time, like essentially we're bad people, and you're not like us. And there will come a time when, you know, you leave the ship. And when that time comes, I'm going to miss you, kid. I'm going to miss you a lot. And it's such a powerful scene, but it's kind of a quietly understated power to that scene and kind of a warmth to that scene. And we had so many actors try it, and they were good actors, but the warmth wasn't there until basically Roger Cross auditioned. And I was like, I think Roger, frankly, is just a naturally warm human being. If you ever meet him, he's just terrific. And just that came through in that scene. And then, you know, that was, you know, I love so many of the relationships on this show, but the relationship between 5 and 6, I think, you know, not just me, but it was like a huge fan favorite as well.
Yeah, he is a warm human being, actually. You're absolutely right.
And we had the opportunity to interview. I've had the opportunity to interview Roger on Simone's channel as well as on our channel, and he's an amazing guy, great guy. Also part of the Stargate family. He played a role, guest role early on in Stargate SG-1. I bet you didn't know that, Maria.
I didn't.
Roger Cross, amazing actor.
He is very much a warm human being. We see them continue to discover things, and we see here that Ford is discovering a box which he does not open in this episode. And there's little things about their past that they keep discovering, which he also had this box hidden, which is interesting how he found it.
Yeah. So very much like there's a point where one is like, you know, our memories are wiped, but they're not obviously completely wiped because we wouldn't know how to talk then. I wouldn't know what a stasis pod was, but you know, like our histories about ourselves, for instance, are wiped. And you can tell sort of like 4 seems to be a little more intuitive. Like there's that scene where he's walking down I think it's that very same scene, and where he's like, he turns and he's like, this way. And so then they end up turning and going, you know, this way. And he's very instinctive. And so basically this scene, he senses that he should be going. It's almost like muscle memory. And that's another conversation they have, I think in episode 9, where they're like, you know, 3 is basically twirling his gun, and it's like muscle memory. It's you know, I want to remember something, I can't, and yet I can just instinctively do this. That's exactly what 4 is doing here. He's basically walking down. He's like, this locker, he opens it up, it's empty. He's like, wait a minute, and then taps, and it's the false wall, and he pulls out this box. He doesn't know what it is, but you know, he just has to figure out the puzzle. Who's good at puzzles? It's 4? I don't think so.
Maria, are you hanging in there without me letting you talk?
You know what? I'm doing fine.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. I don't always have to talk, you know.
I mean, having a muzzle on Maria, I don't want you going crazy.
Oh my God.
I'm
enjoying this. Seeing Adega and Katie and Joe. It's awesome.
All righty. Here we go.
That's what I absolutely loved about it too, was when I saw that it was a puzzle box. I went, that's actually really cool in a sci-fi futuristic show that you're still using things like puzzle boxes. Because even now, I mean, the techniques of hiding things in boxes with different mechanics, that is an old style of hiding stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't it survive? So I actually like pointed out, I was like, oh, so that was, I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very appropriate for him as well, for his character.
Yeah.
And
no, that does make a lot of sense of what gets revealed about him later, that he would have something like that, you know.
Yeah, and we see them. All of a sudden, we see them. The android has been reactivated. She informs 2. They're both on the bridge. She informs 2 that they're emitting some kind of beacon, and here we see them that they're actually being attacked.
Yeah.
And right before they go ahead and go into hyperspace, they lose their gravity.
Right. Yeah. And that's a fun little scene. And again, they're just like little touches in the scenes that just hint at who these characters are. Like, Tune walks in with the android, and the android has a neural link and can just control the ship. And she was like, "No, show me." And so the android shows her, and then she has to do something else. And the android starts to do it neurally, and she's like, "No, show me." And then basically, then they get into trouble, and she's like, "Do something." And the android's like, do you want me to show you? And she's like, "Just do it." And she does. So you see that the android also has a bit of an attitude as well.
I love the sass.
Yeah. Oh, and this is John Stead overseeing our 0G scene with Mark Ben David and Anthony Lemke. It's kind of interesting in that it was like there's some sort of a rig where you can actually slot in how close to the floor you want to get. And so it was just amazing. I mean,
I'm sorry, Joe, I'm going to stop one sec here. And I just wanted to address Vic King's comment. Are they doing a continuation in comic book form as hinted at? As far as we know, not yet. But that would be very cool. I'm sure there's several people, I know of a few, who have brought it up to Joe. Are you okay, Maria?
I thought you were telling Joe on this recorded stream.
Oh, I was. I talked to the recording of Joe. I'm crazy. Yes, guys.
That made me laugh.
Authentic TN snorts. You're here.
Oh my god!
And thanks, Tracy, for hanging out with us.
Tracy.
Roger was an excellent strain. Oh, okay. You checked that series out. Oh, wow. Okay.
See, I wasn't the only one who caught it. I couldn't help but to laugh out loud.
All right. I'm so sorry, Joe. Please continue.
Every time they did it, they would just basically fall on you. You think they're gonna hit the floor, but they would always stop like just inches from the floor.
Oh.
Wow.
That's utterly terrifying to film.
Kenny, you need one of those in your studio.
I really do. Can you imagine how exciting the morning news would be if we had those?
And maybe Maria, maybe I should thank people again for the Ensign Ricky for the super chat again.
Yeah. Hint.
Ensign Ricky.
Maybe spinning around. We got a tornado.
I will make my own weather.
Thanks, Ensign Ricky. Android Kill Them All. One of my all-time faves.
Oh, yeah.
Ricky.
Yeah, that's a season 2 episode. Season 1 has no episode titles, and I thought that was appropriate because the characters don't have names or memories. So it was like episode 1, episode 2, and one of the requests that we got from the network after season 1 was, please come up with some episode titles. And at that point, after the first season, as the characters have begun to sort of explore their backstories, at that point I was like, okay, fine, we can give them episode titles. But
now, did you know, Maria, that season 1? Do you remember that season 1 had no episode titles? It was just episode 1. Let me unmute you.
Sorry. I was muting myself because I didn't want anybody to hear me snorting. I didn't catch on until later, but I just thought I was just missing it. But yeah.
That's funny, Prophet. In space, you can't hear Maria snort. That's funny. That's good. A good one, Prophet. All right, let's mute Maria again. She's probably dying there without being able to talk. Or did you talk yourself out at work today? Are you all talked out for the day?
I'm good. I can be quiet. I meditate. Remember, I have to shut up when I do that.
Is that true? Can she really be quiet?
Yes, I can. I know how.
Let's start. Maybe we should continue without muting her. See if she can really be quiet.
I personally hate coming up with episode titles, so I decided to involve the fans. So what I did was I would go through every script and I would pick out 3 lines of dialogue that were in the script in the episode that I thought were representative of the episode, and I would just put it to a fan vote on Twitter. And so the fans decided the episode titles from episode 2 and onwards. So "Kill Them All" was the fan choice, and it is actually a very appropriate title, I think.
That's amazing.
How cool is that, Joe? Wow.
I've never even, I don't know if this has happened before. Like, I'm not familiar with it, but that is so,
Yeah, it
that's
was
what
fun.
I think sci-fi should do.
Yeah,
Show
embrace the
them-
fans.
Exactly. Oh, and that means the world to fans too. It makes them feel like they're a part of the show.
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
is awesome.
That's why we love Joe.
Yeah, Joe loves you too.
And here we see the gravity come back, and there is without getting into spoilers, I think that Joe has used the gravity here. And let me say real quick, I think I missed the super chat. I will get back to you guys on that. I apologize. I think there's one that's way off my radar right now, so I will get back to it next stream. And Joe, there's something that you did very interesting with the gravity here. Without getting into spoilers, we see here that the crew, the gravity comes back 5. We see 5 fall. We see
1 and 3 fall.
1 and 3 fall. Actually, I think we briefly see 4. I didn't get that image. Here we see 1 and 3, and we see that whatever indicator this is about 2, she's, let's say she's more prepared than we are.
Instinctively is able to land.
Very athletically. She lands very athletically. Yeah,
Like a
instinctively.
cat.
Yes, cat-like. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So without getting into any spoilers, there's all these little Easter eggs that now when we go back, isn't it wonderful when you're really a true sci-fi fan that you can go back and watch this? And I'm appreciating this on a whole new level. What do you think, Adega? I bet you are too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. This is like my 4th time through, I think.
Wow.
But after talking with you last week, it's like the gears start clicking in, and looking at it a whole new way. So it's not boring at all. Or I shouldn't say boring, but
Yeah.
you can cloy of something when you see it too many times. But it's not like that at all with this.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of planning went into it, so there's a lot of.
Let me just say thank you, Captain Trek, for the super sticker, and again, thank you, Ensign Ricky, for that old super chat.
Right about the same time.
Yeah, thank you for the super sticker, the popcorn super sticker. Thank you, Captain Trek.
Popcorn, popcorn.
If you guys haven't subbed to Captain Trek, you need to sub to Captain Trek. Our friend Captain Trek has one of the most positive channels on YouTube. Wonderful content. And this is the link. Wait, where'd it go? This is the link for Captain Trek. And let's see, where is he? You were going to say something, Maria?
It slipped my mind when you mentioned popcorn. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, guys, please sub to Captain Trek if you haven't. He's got to get monetized ASAP already. Thank you again, Captain Trek. Where are we? There we go. Okay. Is it nice to listen to this again, Maria?
Yeah, of course. Because during that time, engaging with Joe more, you see a lot of the things that he had talked about. Like now, like he had told me about, he had mentioned about one of the lines that I had repeated back when he had shared it. I repeated the line, and he was telling the story of that was like something that really happened between him and his wife, and it was just funny, and it's kind of nice to get those backstories. I definitely love that he does engage with everyone so well. He's so good at it. I just want the next season to come out. I want another season so he can have Suji on there.
Yes. Listen, Dark Matter season 4, or most likely a like Joe said, a 6 or 8 part miniseries is most likely to come about, and I think it's a work in process. At the same time, people, I don't know. We're gonna have to work on campaigns at some future point.
Yeah.
It's Joe
Hashtag
needs.
it.
Go ahead, Maria. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say hashtag it.
Yes, hashtag it, and yeah, there needs to be a lot of public support for it. So, all right, let's continue.
Clues, some very subtle, like even in like I'm not going to give it away, but in an episode that's coming up, there's a scene where a character says something to another character that just seems kind of a weird thing to say. And remember, online, some of the fans were like, "Why would she say that?" And other fans were like, "Oh, you're making a big deal out of it. There's no, you're just reading too much into it." And then 5 episodes later, you find out why. And there's very much a reason for it. So that was always a lot of fun. Basically, like I said, surprising the audience. But I just love those type of movies or shows that take the time to set stuff up so that when you go back and watch it, you can kind of watch it again with kind of a new appreciation and go like, "Oh my God, how did I miss that?" Or that's what that meant.
I'm looking forward to it.
Great.
I'm actually kind of jealous that you get to go through it with larger eyes than I had the first time through.
I'm trying to look in the scene like what could be an Easter egg. I'm not even gonna try.
Edson, Ricky, thanks for your support, my friend. The black ships, I got to know, it's killing me.
Yes. So I will say this with regard to season 3 and the cancellation. Like I said, I know where we were going to go. I think we didn't have any scripts written, but we had one script written, and we had outlines for, I think, the first 5 episodes of season 4. So what I did, after we were canceled to season 3, is I ended up posting what I call like a virtual season 4. The first 3 episodes of season 4 in sort of like beat by beat breakdowns of what I had planned for each of those episodes. So, fans who wanted to find out what happened next got to find out at least what I had planned for those first 3 episodes.
Wow. You were going to say something, Adega?
No, we're good.
Okay. And so we see the next scene. They briefly talked with the android about that they're in the middle of, like, I think it's 3 that says they're in the middle of nowhere, and the android says, "No, actually, we're not in the middle of nowhere. We're headed towards the planet." And apparently the ship was like on its way there already. And we see here 2 swing by and tell 1 that get dressed. We're going down to the surface, and he's sitting there in his boxers, and there's a brief little bit of sexual tension. Like Joe said before, a lot of it's coming from him. There's a little bit from her, but she's really good at hiding it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, you'll see how things go, but I mean, the expectation is, you think possibly these 2 are going to get together. And I'm not going to give anything away, but we'll see how things pan out.
Are you gonna mess up my ship?
Is that your ship?
Head cannon's going.
And then we see so they're on the surface of this colony, and now it's very interesting because there's a lot of moments here where 1 almost steps into a leadership role. Mm-hmm. There's also a lot of little
things about there's a lot of things about one's behavior that really says a lot to who he was before. And he does stand out from the other crew in that sense.
Exactly. I mean, basically, 4 is cool under pressure. I mean, they're all of them are actually very cool, and 3 is actually the opposite of 1. He's like, he doesn't want to get involved. He's like, we're thanks for taking care of us. Good luck. Whereas sort of 1 is really feeling the need to help these people and sort of trying to dig at what's going on, and he kind of wants to be honest with them. Whereas 3 obviously instinctively, given the life he has led, knows enough to basically not trust anyone, and is really more about saving his own skin than really saving anyone else's.
That's where I got that disgruntled Han Solo thing.
Right.
Yep.
Very good. That's true. And then we also see here that there's the woman that they're resupplying on the colony, and they've obviously exchanged some goods with them. And the woman on the colony tells shows 1 this pendant that sparks interest in him. And and number one, and 1, too much Star Trek.
All of a sudden, Riker just pops up.
And one, like Joe said, 1 he really wants to help them. And it's interesting because 6 is kind of on board with helping them. And then we get to that picture that we said before, because that shown it earlier, that picture about them voting, about what wasn't clear to me, Joe, was the pendant and the symbol of the pendant. Can you shed any light on that?
Sure. Essentially, 1 in an earlier scene before they go down to the surface, in the nighttime scene, he's basically checking out stuff in his room. He lies down and he finds a pendant that looks exactly like this one. And then when he goes down to the surface, he sees this woman wearing the exact same pendant. And he's like, "What's the significance of the pendant?" And she's like, "Well, we're waiting for you." She mentions this guy, Hrothgar, who is supposed to be bringing them weapons. And, she said that, whoever essentially is bringing the weapons or is going to help them is going to have the same pendant. And that's how they'll know that we can trust them. And so that's what it makes it click for 1, that essentially we've got weapons in our hold. We're supposed to go here. I've got the pendant that matches this woman's pendant, and so we're supposed to be bringing these pendants to these people. And then, I don't want to give, I don't know how much, if we can spoil episode 1, but they find out that it's actually, he's not quite right. He's close, but not quite right.
Yeah, you can spoil episode 1, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. Essentially, they find out that they essentially intercepted Hrothgar, presumably wiped out Hrothgar and the crew, and took their weapons. And in fact, in a later episode, I had written a post attack scene where it's actually a scene between 1 and 5, where 1 is kind of upset by what essentially they've done, and he basically kept the pendant, and it was a nice scene that sadly, basically the episode, it was one of those rare instances where the episode was long, so we didn't get a chance to shoot it, but I've got it somewhere. I'll post it when we get there.
Great. And here we see here right before they sit down at the dinner table to lunch, whatever, their mess hall, to actually talk about a vote. We see here a brief character building scene, or kind of just a revealing. It's a scene that's starting to reveal a lot of things about 5.
Yeah, or you assume it's about 5. You know, basically 5 is kind of weird. There's something kind of going on, and then when she starts talking about, I had a dream, but it wasn't my dream. You begin to sort of like put the pieces together. That is she. If they're not her dreams, then basically there's one of the other crew members' dreams. She talks about living in the palace and carving out, eyes of some guards. That's some pretty scary shit. So you think, do they have a psychopath in their midst?
That's what I'm thinking.
And Joe, one of the things you do really good as a writer is the contrast, because and this information is given to the audience through the most innocent character, and there's a kind of a little shock moment, and even 2 is in shock when she's hearing this from
Yes.
5.
Yeah.
And like you said, the revelation is not even necessarily about 5; it's about everyone, all of them,
Yeah.
right?
It's a really horrific, kind of like image. And then she's like, I hope they get, they pick up something to eat while they're down there. I'm like, really hungry. So basically she's very like, it's weird, but, everyone else around her will find it very weird. But for her, it's like, it just goes to her character.
Yeah, and there's these, because there's these little when you do something like that, it's like these little mini cliffhangers that for
To
me
be
anyway.
continued.
Yeah, to be continued.
But they do pay off. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, and so they're in the mess hall. Oh, dang it, sorry, did I cut you off? Okay. They're in the mess hall. This is where we showed the scene before about 3. Right after this image, 3 votes to not let 5 vote, which is kind of, which apart from, it was kind of funny actually. And it always, I think it brings a chuckle to most everybody. And where was I? Yeah. Okay. And right before. So, and what's going to happen here is that the episode is going to end without them.
I just realized PJ is talking for like 45 seconds and not saying absolutely anything. Maria, did you notice that?
I plead the fifth.
Anyway, sorry. I can't stand this host. Oh my God, he's such a pain in the ass. Oh, okay.
Whatever.
Let's go back.
Actually, having made a decision, but they're obviously gonna find out.
Well, how about if you decide what to say, PJ?
They do make a decision in that, in they're loading the crates onto the Marauder, half the crates onto the Marauder when they get called to the.
You're right.
In fact, actually,
Hey, Maria, this is a whole new show. We can MST3K ourselves.
Yeah.
A whole new concept. We should think about it for real.
I know, right? That would work.
it's one of those. There's a line where Three's kind of watching one kind of struggle with a crate, and he says, remember to lift with your back, take pressure off the knees. And I remember rewatching the episode. I'm like, oh shit, that's wrong. He should be lifting with the knees to take pressure off the back. And then I realized, oh no, that's the joke. And I had written it. I mean, it's always like, you come back to something like after so many years, you're like, oh, okay. It's like watching it new, like with you guys, because my memory's so bad.
And you're right. Actually, they did make a decision. I guess what happens. I guess what I was trying to say was that their decision seems kind of like in the air after they learn at the very end of the episode things about themselves. Let's see. And then there's right towards the very end of the episode, we see this moment here where I think it's 5 sees this image that the android is trying to recover data from the computer. And we see this image of, I want to say Rodney.
Yeah.
But it's Tabor, I think it is.
Tabor, yeah.
Tabor. But it's funny because we can all kind of see who it is. And just a great tease for anybody who's watching episode 1.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're a Stargate fan, you'll notice that there'll be like several Stargate cameos in Dark Matter, on Dark Matter.
Are there any Stargate fans in the chat? Raise your hand. Yeah.
Adega's already got his up.
Huh?
Adega's already got his up.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Oh, I get there's a slight delay on the StreamYard's comments. I bet he does.
No, because his picture is a hand up.
Oh, sorry. It's too late for me.
I know it is.
I'll discuss those as sort of we get to them. But yes, that is David Hewlett as the wonderful David Hewlett as Tibor Kelcha.
And let me ask you this question now, Joe. And we're probably going to end up asking it again. But when some of these actors are coming into the Dark Matter universe from like Stargate, for example, it seems to like either they're playing to their strengths when you're writing for them, or are you purposely writing roles that? So my question is, when you're writing for them, is it that you're playing to their strengths as actors, or are you playing to their fan appeal for the character?
Initially, I mean, the role honestly wasn't written for David, but I just thought David would be fantastic in the role, and he is. It's sort of like, it's not, I guess, a huge spoiler, but Tori Higginson, who plays Dr. Weir on Stargate Atlantis.
And let me just say, she joined us 2 or 3 times, Tori, and she was a fantastic guest. Fantastic guest.
Mm-hmm.
Plays a part of Commander Truffaut, and plays it very differently. She's very different from Elizabeth Weir. She's kind of a cross between the thing, I kind of like it. Maybe Elizabeth Weir and kind of a Mae West, and she is fantastic. But very much. I mean, you create the character, you think they would be great for the role. They are, and then as time goes on, as with any role, as they embrace it, make it their own, you end up kind of adjusting the dialogue to their performance, and like you said, to their strengths.
So you don't think, and just because you mentioned Tori, you don't think that she was also, her character, as we're going to see in the following episodes, you don't think she's also kind of very political, very administrative as well, like Weir was?
Yeah, she is, but she's a lot more mercenary than Elizabeth ever was. I mean, she's certainly more of an opportunist.
Gotcha. Okay. Any comments on that, Katie or Dega? You wanted?
You covered it.
And so we get to the end of the episode, and we see this final scene where 2 says, "Hey, everybody, come up to the bridge," and they're this is the moment where they're all, "Hey, what's up? What's going on?" And she's starting to display information. The android is starting to display information. And like Joe said before, we see their the
worst of the worst. Criminals, cutthroats, murderers. And it's interesting to see their reactions. Like, you just see it on their faces. Like, obviously 2 is horrified, 1 is stunned. You can't read 4. 6 is obviously troubled, and 3 is like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of figured, No, that totally pulled the rug out from under me. Because when I started the show, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to read even like the summary on Netflix. I'm just going to go in and click on it. Oh, that killed me. Because I'm rooting for them. And then you're just like, oh, they're the bad guys.
Yeah.
I think that's just such a good idea.
It was a great idea, Joe. It was fabulous.
Thank you. Like I said, I mean, I was inspired by The Shield, where the good guy you realize is actually a very bad person. I just, and then it's kind of the reverse of Breaking Bad, where essentially introduces this poor chemistry high school teacher who becomes this reprehensible character over the course of the show. But like I said, I love the redemption theme and being able to explore through these various characters and the fact that it's as I said, is redemption possible? In some cases, yes, and in some cases, no, and it really depends on the character.
Now, Joe, do you think that the fans were on some level expecting something, but not maybe to this degree?
I honestly, I don't know. I think a lot of fans were surprised. I think maybe the impact of that first episode was somewhat lessened because it premiered as a two-parter, which I honestly didn't want to happen. I wanted the pilot to air as the pilot because it's that last moment is such a holy shit moment that it would be just great to carry it through a week. But I think having it back to back kind of lessened the impact on its first airing.
Now I have to ask with this picture, this could just be me, not knowing the series yet, but does that mean that 2 and 4 were never captured because they don't have
that is exactly what that means. Those are close security shots. That is good. Yes.
I love that because of all of them, they would be the ones who would never get caught.
Mm-hmm. That was good.
Yes, nicely done.
Woo! I'm keeping that as a score for Katie.
Wow.
How did the after this aired the first? I'm sure you were just biting at the bit to know what the numbers were. How did it go? Because I'd never looked it up.
It was actually, it did quite well. I mean, we were on Sci-Fi and my writing partner used to say it's like being the best bullfighter in Russia. It's I mean the numbers were good. In fact, they were always good. I think we were always like either the at least like top 3 in terms of scripted shows on the network, which is why I was actually really shocked that we ended up getting in fact, I think we were the number 2 scripted show when we got canceled. So I mean, the numbers were good, and they were always good. And see, at the first half of season 3, they kind of fell off, and then they kind of like regained. But I mean, the ratings were good. Initially the fan response was mixed, and it's basically one of those shows where I'm thinking.
Let me just add here, guys. Let me interrupt Joe, and let me just add here. You guys recall that there was a lot of issues with the marketing of Dark Matter. Basically, there was none. There was very little. And Joe has had some complaints about the fact that marketing for Sci-Fi went elsewhere instead of Dark Matter.
Big picture. So like I said earlier on, you introduce these characters and they're like almost like empty ciphers. They're like, oh, this is this character, and this is this character, and you think they're very much, the cliches. And so if there was one criticism that I saw more than anyone, it's like, oh, basically we've seen these characters before, and it's not really up to me to basically tell them, well, of course that's what is going to be the surprise in the show. I mean, the series is going to be full of surprises. It's going to be about upending expectations, and that's one of the things I want to do is create surface impressions that you buy into early on, and then you're surprised later on. But it's kind of unfortunate because I think there were some people who tuned in and they were like, man, this show's not for me, because they just couldn't connect with the characters, and it's too bad. On the other hand, the fact that it was on Netflix was actually kind of helpful in the fact that it would kind of roll into the next episode, and he always made a point of ending each episode with that holy crap moment that would hopefully compel them to watch the next one.
Plus, it was it was a little darker than a lot of what sci-fi was when it came out. You know, they see your name, they think of Stargate, which had a kind of a lighter feel to it, even though there were tense moments. Where this wasn't like that at all. This was more real.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one tonally fell in between Stargate Atlantis and Stargate Universe. It wasn't quite as dark as Stargate Universe. There's me with my. That's going to be my. I think I keep that whenever I do interviews, people are like, "Can you send me a headshot?" And I never have headshots, but I do have that, so I'm going to start sending them back. Thanks for the reminder.
Nice.
Yeah. It's Bubba. Bubba, by the way, was named after my pug, who sadly passed away. You know, there's a point where spoiler alert, where basically 3 says, you know, he's named his gun Bubba, and his sidearm is Lulu.
Isn't that a great picture of Joe?
I love it. I love it.
Maria, isn't that a
Yeah.
great picture?
I love it.
And
Yeah.
of course, Matt, who has done the recreation of this.
Yeah. Amazing job.
We're gonna be talking to him again.
Yeah. Yeah, he's amazing.
And Bubba was my pug, and Lulu was my French bulldog, who sadly also passed away at the end of last year. So they live on. In fact, actually, Anthony, I had a place in Vancouver, and he was in Vancouver for I think a week, and he actually stayed with us. And I have a picture of him holding Bubba and Lulu, the real Bubba and Lulu, like a gunfighter.
Is it safe for me to put the headphones back in? I heard spoiler alert and just ripped them out.
No, it's fine. Yes, you're good. It's not even that much of a spoiler.
If anyone goes back, they'll see me just go.
It's a very minor spoiler. So,
Joe, if this gun wasn't so long, it would be a great picture for your social media.
yes, it would.
And since Joe has provided, are you okay for a few more minutes, Joe?
Yep.
Since Joe's provided some of these fantastic pictures from behind the scenes, I thought we could just go through a few more of them.
Oh yeah, this is mint condition. That's me in mint condition. You'll notice basically I am in the 3-piece suit. When I roll into production, I'm always in my 3-piece suit. I've got the cufflinks. Cufflinks are a lot of fun. Basically, have everything from Hydra to advanced idea mechanics to crossbows for Daryl from A Walking Dead. So it's I've always like basically this falls into sort of what I was talking about. I like villains. I was always a big fan of James Bond villains, and once I was old enough and I was able to afford my own wardrobe, I was like, if I was a James Bond villain, how would I dress? And this is pretty much it. So whenever we roll into production, I would always step onto set with my fully geared up.
Isn't that a great picture, Maria?
I love it. Yeah. I want that.
He does look like the evil supervillain from the James Bond movie.
Oh, that's incredible.
That's a crossbow cufflinks. I'm into cufflinks. Those are that. I got to find me a pair now that you mentioned it. I got some steampunk ones, all kinds, but that one I need.
Wow. Let me just remind everybody real quick before I get back to the pictures properly. Joe, you're going to be on Dial the Gate Saturday.
Yes, Saturday. I'm doing a noon interview with David Reed, and we're going to be talking about the old Stargate days. So tune in. I didn't post the information because I wanted to just kind of focus on what we were doing tonight, but I will be posting information on my blog and on Twitter, and the link where you'll be able to check out the interviews, live interviews. So that's thank you for mentioning that. That's Saturday, noon Eastern time. Is it? No, hang on. Let me double check that.
Yeah, I think I might be able to find the post.
And this is obviously
noon
pre-recorded,
Eastern
guys.
time.
So.
Yeah.
And the best thing, if you guys are not, anybody who's not following Joe on Twitter.
Shameful.
I'm gonna put his link in right now. So if anybody's not following Joe, don't wait. Go follow him right now because later you'll
Come
just
on
forget.
over.
And he follows you
I'm
back.
disappointed in the anime picks, though.
What?
I'm disappointed in the anime picks.
Yeah, this is what actually I'm doing. I started with movies, I did TV, and now I'm moving into anime. And it's like, we did like your top 3 sci-fi anime. I think your top 3 horror anime were the last ones. I think I might do maybe the post-apocalyptic anime next for tonight. We'll see. Are you an anime? What are your top?
Well, yeah, I wanted, you had the intro, and I thought the Ergo Proxy was so beautiful, and it got special mention.
But there were so many great anime intros, and for me, I just chose the ones that when I was watching, just kind of like, for me, just kind of stirred that that emotion. Like it's crazy, but for the ending theme, I chose Fruits Basket, which was kind of crazy. It's like not one that you would think I would like, but I just love that end theme.
Well, that would have been Tokyo Ghoul for me, but
I clearly need to get into anime too.
You should.
yes.
I mean, the closest I've come is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Maybe the original Yu-Gi-Oh! That's like anime light. It doesn't count.
Only the Japanese do anime right.
It's true.
I don't know. Avatar: The Last Airbender was pretty good.
Joe, does Yodel have any input on her look in the on her hair?
Jodelle cosplays, and we ended up seeing pictures of Jodelle as she was heading over from Vancouver, and I think it was Jerry Firestone was like, we should color her hair like blue. And so we ended up trying different. She ended up actually cutting her hair. Apparently, she hadn't cut her hair since she was like 13. Just such long hair. I felt kind of bad, but she was like totally cool with it. And sorry, we tried different looks, different colors, and this was kind of the teal look was the one that we thought suited her best. So that is her hair color, her actually natural hair color, in character natural hair color. As we'll learn later in the season, but we'll get to that.
Wow. And we saw this briefly before in the background. I put it up while you guys were speaking, and it is. Dega's absolutely right. It is very Destiny looking. The shuttle, Destiny shuttle from STU.
Yeah,
And it looks like you could convert it into a Hot Wheels car.
You probably could.
Merchandise.
Now, do you want to talk? I mean,
Let me just say there was a lot of missed opportunities with merch for Dark Matter.
Yeah.
It's too bad. And people have to realize too that when you have merch, it also helps to promote the series as well. And then when people are walking around the sci-fi, wouldn't you agree, Maria? When people are walking around the sci-fi conventions with a shirt on, it helps promote, right? I lost Maria. I lost your audio, Maria. All right, I can't hear you, so I'm continuing anyway with the.
Was there any? I know you spoke about it before. Was there any merchandise that of significant?
Sadly, no. No, there was no merchandise. As much as I would have loved to see some merchandise. No.
So you're saying I can go on Etsy and maybe make some cool designs?
You probably could. If you actually make some cool cufflinks, I'd probably buy them from you.
There we go. You get a pair for free.
Well, no.
And let me just say, of course, Nick the Stick, it has been doing Dark Matter, some
Nice.
Dark Matter merch for the fans, for Joe.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hit myself and it shut my microphone off.
Maria, can you put in Nikki's website? Do you mind in the chat?
Yeah.
So people see where they can remind people where they can get the merch. And we're going to wrap up in a few minutes, but I want to get to the end of this.
It's your business. Oh, there's a green screen. out the bridge. Yeah. And
Wow.
yeah, I very prefer the I don't know if you have the photo of the star field out the bridge as well, but we ended up there's the outside of the bridge. There's the star field, which I hated in season 1. So essentially what they did was they ended up purchasing this, like special ordering this star field from something like the United Arab Emirates. And it's like a star field that's used in laser shows or light shows. And it looked terrible. It looked so fake. And I remember on Stargate Universe, all we did was we used a black, like velvet, like tarp, and we just put tinsel, and it looked way better than this. And so I remember, they couldn't figure out how to get the lights to stop blinking because all the instructions were in Arabic or Persian. It was just crazy. Wow. So this that initial Starfield, I was not a fan of at all.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, you could get just a good hobbyist to get you a good Starfield. You gave him enough money for the materials.
Yeah. We ended up having like visual effects kind of like help us out there, but some of those situations where it didn't have to be that way, and the cheaper was actually better.
Actually, with the green screen picture, I noticed that some of the green was reflecting inside the set.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to edit out like the green lighting, or did it just kind of stay and you don't really notice it?
Yeah, for the most part, I don't think you notice it, but there's always, color correct is a stage in the post-production process where basically they deal with any of those aspects, or you can have, visual effects address it as well.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to show a few more images, Joe, and
Sure.
and we'll let you go because you've been so generous with your time.
No problem.
Because Joe provided us with some of these fabulous images, and guys, I know because of the time. I think another day we will maybe have a little bit of a free for all, and we
Get
can
more fan questions, reader questions.
Yeah.
Oh, I love chaos.
Great.
Can you tell us what we're looking at here? It's the sword scene, Joe?
Yeah, this is John Stead, our stunt coordinator, directing a second unit scene. In this one, this is the scene where 1 and 4 find the swords. 4 basically says, this way, you say instinctively, he's drawn to something. He's drawn to this training room. He's drawn to those swords. And 1 asks him, can you use, you know how to use those things? And clearly he does. So again, this is muscle memory kicking in. He doesn't remember who he is, but his body remembers how to use those swords.
Yeah, and I love the terminology you use for him finding his little samurai getaway and finding the box. It is muscle memory, absolutely. And it's very appropriate for him because he's very physical. That he would, yeah. Again,
and his character is very much influenced, like I said, from anime and the whole sort of Code Geass, swords and space subgenre that I love. And my wife is Japanese. I travel to Japan. I try to go every year, but obviously I didn't get to go this year. Check out Akihabara very much. I love kind of the anime angle.
Wow. Is there any other Katie or Rodega, do you guys have any questions you want to add that we may have not?
Not until I see the next episode, that I'm sure I'll have a few.
No, great.
I just had one little one, but I don't want to. We've been here for a while. I don't want to keep it any longer.
No, go ahead.
You speak of Japan, Shorinji Kempo. I studied that for years under a 5th dan. And so martial arts, I watch these things and I pick them apart. And knowing, I don't know the actress, but knowing that you put 4 against the droid with the sword, and that was choreographed really cool. How long did that scene take, or did they catch on to it pretty quickly?
I mean,
Just
those
that
scenes,
part of it.
it's not even like a much of like catching on, just because there's just so many moves and different angles. Usually those scenes can take, I mean, something like that would probably be, that sequence would be like half a day of shooting. There's a massive, well, I'm gonna say massive, there's a huge throwdown between 2 characters in season 3 that took an entire day to shoot. We'll discuss that when the time comes. But again, that was like John Stead and 2 of our regulars, and it was quite a sequence.
And this is what Joe was talking about before about the
big
Zero gravity.
Yeah.
That looks like so much fun.
Yeah, I remember basically this was kind of a second unit one, and there they go. We ended up shooting it. I think we came in on a Saturday to shoot that one. And of course, the danger is not really falling down and hitting the floor. The danger is the gun that Anthony is holding, because like when it goes down, you don't want it bouncing off the floor into your face, or holding it close to your face and and connecting with it. So that's one thing that John was like very cognizant of, like make sure you move the gun away from your body before we drop you.
Now, are they given any warning of when they're dropped, or is it?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, they're given warning.
So you didn't do like a Die Hard and drop them on 2.
No.
Yeah, definitely your weather studio needs one of these, Katie.
Mm.
I'm going to have to ask you if it's in the budget. Right after the tornado vehicle, I want to get a tank. So that can come next. Maybe they'll go for that over the tank. Who knows?
We got to get Katie her
Joe,
tank.
I want to
Yeah,
thank
been a
you.
while.
You've been so generous to be able to go through this with the creator of the show is probably one of the most amazing experiences as a fan that any of us have had.
So let me stop it right there. Is it nice to watch this again, Maria?
Yeah, it is. Especially, once you've gone through it and then whatever was said then and you watch it again, it's just kind of fun to go back and catch more things, like things that you didn't catch on the first time. I think it's great. It's always good to see Joe and dig it. But no, it was nostalgic, but fun. Hope we get to do new ones soon.
Yeah, it's great. There's a lot of stuff I didn't remember about it, about this
That's what I meant.
episode, and like Maria said, even though we participated in it, just because we're so involved in the stream, and I'm involved. I personally am involved, like putting up a lot of images and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff. There's little things that may have slipped by, and not registered until it was until now maybe, or even I listened to the replay, but I don't remember. So, Maria, I want to thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here and being, having to be so quiet. I apologize for having you muzzled. I want to thank everybody in the chat who's been with us. Thank you, Tracy, particularly for taking care of the chat, and everybody else who's also helped. Gap, Rapunzel, Nate, Time Prophet, Galinda. And guys, you talking about the video game. I see you guys talking about the video game. Absolutely. A video game would be awesome. Wouldn't it, Maria?
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody's got to do it. It shouldn't be too terribly hard, right? But getting the voices from the actors would have to happen, though.
Yeah. Thank you, Adega, for being here in double time, being here in the recording and in the chat. Thank you, and my friend Adega, science fiction author Adega Outlaw. Thank you, Katie, of course, again, and Joe. Joe, again, this is an amazing experience. Thank you for letting us relive this with you. Let's see. Thanks to everybody. Captain Trek. It's very late here, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. Dave's Dimensions. Good to see you. Jeremiah. Who else? And we've had a lot of people in and out. And all of you guys watching on the replay, thank you again for being here. And Vic King and Classic Glue, Mike, Star Trek actor Mike. Thank you guys for being here. Maria. Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Louise. Still up with us.
Thanks so much.
And again, thank you, Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy.
Don't forget, guys, to sub to Maria's channel. We need to get her monetized as soon as possible. And Maria, when's your next stream?
Friday.
Gil's
gonna be there with Cameron. It's gonna be paranormal.
Cardinalson and Cameron Pasha are going to be there. Awesome. Very exciting. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Thank you again, Maria.
You bet. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next time.
All right. See you all next time, guys. Take care. Thank you. And we'll be back next Monday with we're gonna continue with Dark Matter with episode 2 of season 1 next week. Thank you all.